Okay, welcome to another edition of Keeping It 84. This is Paul Penniman, an old white guy with
$20.
a relatively young African American man, and we're here to discuss racial and cultural differences across the Anacostia River that... Can we swim in this river yet?
No, I don't think we can ever swim in it.
I don't think, in my lifetime, I don't think we could ever swim in it. We were getting close. They scheduled a swim a couple of years ago, and then the weather was too cold or raining or something. And all the old white people in their swimsuits were going to jump in the river and prove that, hey, we cleaned up the river.
Only y'all.
But anyway, we're not really talking about pollution today. We were going to talk...
We have a wonderful topic today, I think, that we're going to get into that I'm excited about. We're going to talk about pedophiles and rapists.
Yes, but on the margins of racial disparities. I mean, the first one we were thinking of was Michael Jackson.
Yes.
And we were just discussing off the air about whether he was, in fact, a bad guy.
I don't think he was, Mr. Penniman.
He was a great guy in many ways. The music was incredible. He was incredibly inspirational. He did amazing things. If you go see the musical, MJ the Musical, you'll love it. But
are they making a new movie about him?
Yeah, there's another movie coming out.
Okay.
But there was a documentary, and there were two, I guess by this time they're in their 30s, two white men who said that they were molested separately, totally separate incidents. But the details they gave were eerily similar about how Michael brought them in and ended up sleeping in the same bed with them and things like that.
But did they say he molested them or touched them inappropriately?
I think there was some evidence. I don't know if they mentioned it directly.
Mm-hmm. They didn't mention it directly. They didn't ask them a question and say, did he touch you sexually and inappropriately?
I think there definitely was some attempts, yeah. I don't think it was as brutal as the Sandusky guy. That was the guy I was trying to think of last week. We don't have to keep talking about the actual act itself, but
yeah.
I was wondering, do more black people think he was innocent than white people? Because I looked at the documentary and I heard those two white men speak, and I thought, yeah, he was guilty of sexual assault and should have been punished for it.
Maybe I
couldn't
imagine that,
yeah.
But I just don't think he did that. I think he just went, because see, if I'm in a bed with a child, we just went to sleep, and the parents came in, or whoever adults come in and see us there, it's not a good look. Nothing could have happened, but it's just not a good look. And Michael was in a position where sharing a bed with a child was just innocent to him. Like, he was taught to share. I don't know if he was, I think he was a Jehovah's Witness, so they was somewhat religious. They was taught to share and things like that. So he looking at it like sharing a bed is almost like I'm sharing my food with someone hungry, you know? But that's just not a good look for the culture we're in.
Yeah. So the biggest racial divide, I think, about famous celebrities,
especially white kids,
is the O.J. case.
Yeah.
And you're not old enough to remember, but when he was acquitted, when they let him off, when they said he was not guilty, even though there were fibers of his sweater, fibers of Ron Coleman's sweater in his car, you know, the blood of the victims were in his car, on his car.
That's a lucky black man to get off of that.
All kinds of evidence. And this was 30 years ago, and they still show this video of Howard University students celebrating like crazy when they find out. This is in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week. He got off because, and we white people finally figured this out, police and the legal system have been persecuting black people disproportionately all these years, and finally, you guys got one on your
one
on your scorecard.
At least one. That's crazy. I'll say this: R. Kelly was on the right track because he was messing with females. The problem was he picked his apples off the tree too early.
Yeah. Now, how many victims did he have supposedly?
I don't know how many people he peed on.
Yeah.
But they said they had him on camera, and it did look like him with some girl. So we can't deny that.
Wasn't he the guy whose song was "Age is Just a Number"?
I think something like that. I think he or either him and the other singer, Aaliyah.
Right. She was
They,
very.
yeah, and they was like, I guess supposedly going together, and he was almost twice her age. Well, first of all, she was, I think, 17 or 16, and he was, helping her and recording and singing with her, so that already didn't look right.
Yeah, that's the thing. These child performers, it's so risky. Like we talked about Justin Bieber and Michael as a kid,
Yeah.
and now we've got Aaliyah, and
So you know about that and all of that, right?
it's kind of, yeah. I mean, they
Yeah.
get into this adult world, and it's just not healthy for them. You
It's
want them,
not.
you want them to be a kid.
So they grow up so fast. So that's why I think what Michael did, he said was, I'm going to be a child now, since I was already an adult as a kid, and he just flipped it.
Yeah.
Now, Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, let's say one more thing about OJ before we get into Jeffrey.
Okay.
We'll finish our black.
I don't know too much about OJ except, like you said, if the glove doesn't fit.
Yeah, I've got a little tidbit that I don't think you knew about. We haven't talked about this.
Sure.
And that is Johnny Cochran, who was this brilliant lawyer, great guy. I mean, the name still means something. The Cochran Law Firm, they still do commercials. He knew that 10 of the jurors were black out of 12. And so he
See, I
needed
didn't know that.
he
Tell me.
he needed to downplay the fact that OJ's friends, a lot of his friends were white. In fact, many of his friends were rich white people who, dare I say, look like me.
Yes.
And so if you went to OJ's house, which was in this rich white neighborhood called Brentwood, and you went inside his house, there would be pictures of OJ with Arnold Palmer, with these white business executives, with these white, NFL club owners, all these famous white people. He married a white woman,
Wow.
right? They had 2 children.
Well, I hope I'm not going down the beaten path.
Yeah, so what did Johnny Cochran do? He petitioned, and somehow they got permission to visit OJ's house to supposedly see some of the, like, what might have happened when OJ came back to the house, which really wasn't
tell me
necessary at
that.
all because the crime supposedly was committed over in...
Don't tell me they got rid of all the...
Yes, they got rid of all the pictures. You're right. You got it. You got it.
I was like...
They got rid of all the pictures of the white friends, every single one of them.
But that's how court and lawyers be. You gotta sell the perception.
And guess what they put up?
What did they put up? Martin Luther King. What
They managed to find a couple of pictures of him with black people
a couple of pictures.
and African art they put up
Okay.
and all kinds of other African American stuff.
So it's reversed now. Now you're not trying to appease to a white jury. You're trying to appease to a black jury that he's black enough.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But that's how it's got to be.
People used to complain about Obama not being black
enough.
Yeah. And he used to say things like, hey, if people didn't know who I was, if I was in Chicago, I still wouldn't be able to get a cab. And that was a great line because no matter how rich, successful you are, black people were still screwed before Uber came along.
Right.
Yeah.
It's once again, the darker your skin is, but like I said, we play a part in it because even me, I will count my cash out. I mean, just sitting out there at the bench waiting for the bus in Ward 3. Count my cash out loud in Ward 3. Bunch of white people walk past. I ain't sweating not one bit. But when I get to Ward 8 and I see people that look like me come around, I don't even carry my cash. I don't even think I carry a wallet sometimes. I'm not counting I don't even pull out $1 when I don't know why it's like that. And these are my people, but that's just the way everything is right now.
I don't know if I told you this story, but one of our students and I, an Anacostia kid, I don't think you knew him. He was a couple of years younger. We went to a movie in Georgetown. My phone was dead, and he didn't have the Uber app, and for some reason couldn't get it. So we just, there was a cab right there. We were in Georgetown, right? We just came out of the movies, and we got into the cab, and we gave the cab driver the address, which was in Northeast, near Deanwood. And the guy said, "No, I don't go. I don't." He said, "I don't go there." And I said, "Sir, you are breaking the law right now. You must take us to this address." And the kid's name was Michi. I'm sure you wouldn't mind my telling the story. He starts filming the cab driver refusing. He goes, "Put that phone away. Stop filming me." And I said, "We're not leaving. You're taking us to this address."
Right.
And that's just sad. you know, that he didn't want to do it. He eventually apologized when he took Michi home. He took me home. He really apologized sincerely. But
I'm not. I wouldn't apologize.
Oh, really?
I would be like, yeah, I'm not taking you. Feel me? Whatever. Because the reason why is because he may not make it out of the parking lot alive. Remember when me and you was in the car one day? We went somewhere over there in Southwest, and we turned in. You turned into. I don't know where we was going. I don't know if we was picking somebody. No, you was trying to drop me off, but we got a little lost. You kind of knew where you was going.
Was this 22nd and Bang Bang?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
22nd and Bang Bang, that was when my mother, we'll get into that. We'll get into that next time.
We could do a whole podcast about your mother, right?
Yes, yeah, because she's something else. But you turned in the parking lot, but we turned in the wrong parking lot, and we drove up to, remember there was some boys sitting outside? They had masks on, they were just standing there, and you basically throttle in reverse. He was like, this is definitely the wrong area. And we backed up out of the parking lot. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think it was before I realized that I was never a target. You know, and I realized that walking around Ward 8 that nobody's going to bother me.
No.
Because they think I might be connected, or
Yes.
you know, I could we'll solve the crime.
Right.
The police will solve this crime.
Right.
If it's just a black kid walking around,
If it's just me,
and they lose their shoes or their iPhone or something, shouldn't have been carrying the iPhone around in public.
Right.
You know.
So you gotta kind of be sympathetic to the guy in the car saying, "I don't go there." Did he even explain why? What's his name? Michi.
You mean the cab or Michi?
Michi. How old was he?
20.
Okay, he should have had an understanding why the guy was like.
Well, we wanted to ride home though.
I know. But the guy was like, he was scared because it's like Deanwood is.
All right, so let's make a scale of black people. We used to do this when I was joking. Walter, one of my neighbors, went to Anacostia. He said, "Mr. Penniman, you blacker than Vince Gray. He doesn't come around here anymore." Vince Gray used to be.
In some cases, you blacker than me, Mr. Penniman.
Vince Gray was the mayor, and so we created this scale. I think Flavor Flav was a 10, right, and Mitt Romney was a 1. So where did I fit on this scale? So I think
Probably 2.
No, I think they gave me a 5. I think they gave me a 5.
As far as looks, a 2. A 2.
Well, yeah.
Right there.
Look, I look just like Mitt Romney. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You look like Mitt Romney. You like Jeffrey Epstein's cousin. First of all, Jeffrey Epstein, I looked him up because I didn't really know much about him except he screwed young girls. Like I said, they was on the right track. They just picked the apples off the tree too early. That's the only thing. If they would have caught... First of all, he was a mathematician, right?
He was a math teacher just like me.
What did I say? Mathematician? How you say it?
Mathematician. You said it right.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was a mathematician, and I'm looking at his interview, and then you won too. So that's, oh my God. So I'm listening to him, and I said, this guy, in my opinion, he was brilliant. To me, he was brilliant. He was just a monster. That's what makes him more of a monster, because he was very intelligent to me.
Yeah, you've got intelligent, charismatic people who can talk anyone else into anything.
So do you remember what you said to me last week?
No, tell me.
Okay, you're hitting it now. You said that the rich people, when they want to molest or rape or, trap people, they always tend to go after the downtrodden.
Right, because the low-income folks, they may only have one parent.
Yes.
And so they're vulnerable, right? They don't have a support system that can watch after them.
Right.
And, if you're a 16-year-old kid in like the quote-unquote low-income part of Palm Beach, which means not, $1 million mansions,
mm-hmm.
and you go to this high school and you need money, and you find out from your friend, there's this cool guy, he'll have you over and he'll pay you. And you almost don't even want to know what the money is for, right? You just need the money.
Right.
Because you're behind in the rent.
Right.
Your parents are struggling, if they're even both there. That's the kind of victim that he knew would be, a good victim.
And so, do you remember you told me about one of your friends, well, I ain't going to say friends, but students, got out of jail around here, and some guy said, "Can you give me some head for $10?"
Oh, he wasn't out of jail. He was just walking around the neighborhood.
Just walking around the neighborhood.
Just a kid, yeah.
And
there was a guy driving his car, and he pulls up on Tyrone. Let's just say his name is Tyrone.
Okay.
And he says, yeah, for $10 or something. And, you know, out of all the things that happened in the neighborhood, it was definitely not the top 10 worst thing that ever happened to this, because he wasn't touched by the kid. He didn't have to sit in the car with the kid. He was 16 years old. So he was able to walk away and say, oh, well, God, that was a creepy guy.
Right.
But, you know, if it was a white kid would have copied down the license plate.
Right.
His parents would have insisted the police do a search.
Yes.
You know, and all this stuff.
But it was just a guy say, okay, he ain't the one. And I've been in that situation too. I've been in that situation where I was but it wasn't rich people. Like I told you, it was like a bus driver.
Oh yeah, this guy driving the car, he only had $10, right? That's less than you. You have 20.
$20. That's all that, or at least 2 tens.
Did the person propositioning you offer you any money? Did it get to that far in the negotiations?
No, it didn't, and it shouldn't have, because my family would be very disappointed if it gotten further than that. But yeah, I wait for the bus. There was a bus driver, and he kept saying, I used to get his, when I go to work, he will always show up because, I got a time to go to work. So I always see him. He was like, yeah, hey, what's good? How are you? And I love your hair. And I'm like, thinking nothing of it. Like, yeah, that's great. So one day I saw him like pulling the bus in, like, because I think I was somewhere else. It was like a bus lot. And I saw him. He was like, hey, and this is the first time I saw him off the bus. He was like, yeah, what's good, man? I was like, how's it going? He was like, yeah, I find you very attractive. And it wasn't making it any better because I had these, sometimes people at work will give me like different wristbands and they were different colors and I would just put them on. So I had the rainbow on my wrist and I didn't realize it. He probably thought I was gay. And he said, yeah, he said, listen, I'm a bus driver, right? I said, yes, I take your route almost every day. He said, yeah, I can take care of you, right?
Well, that seems a little creepy than some stranger pulling up on a kid.
You think that's more creepier?
No, it's less creepy than the car pulling up on.
Yeah, but that's why I say it's like, oh no, that ain't creepy, but it's like.
How old were you at the time?
It was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
See what I'm saying?
I mean, people are going to come up to you and say certain things, and you just have to tell them.
But my problem is, why me?
It happens to everybody. You just made me remember a story, and I don't think I've told anyone in my family.
Yeah, like, why me, Mr. Penniman?
This happens when I was maybe a sophomore. I was living off campus, but it was only like 1 block off campus in Baltimore.
Uh-huh.
And, white campuses still are just wide open. Anybody can walk on the campuses.
Okay.
And nobody says bats an eye. Because if we see a black person on campus, it's like, cool. Hey, with black people finally, But this was an older white guy, and he was kind of following me around and talking to me. And I was very innocent. I was 18 years old, I think. And I had no concept of maybe an older man being interested in a younger man. I never even, knew of that type of relationship. Mm-hmm. And he was very friendly, and he was talking to me. Struck up a conversation and asked me what I was doing. And I wasn't a talkative person, and I was just, And finally, he made it clear that he was interested in something more. And I started stammering. Well, I'm not that, but I really believe in civil rights for gay. I started going off into this speech about gay people should have all the rights that straight people have and all this stuff. And I was just like, sorry, I can't help you. And I felt really guilty that I couldn't, be his friend.
And the fact that you felt guilty that he came up to you, because I've seen that where when a child gets molested or whatever, the first thing they think of is my fault. And I'm like, why? Or even a victim, a rape victim, they think it's their fault. And you felt that, right? When he came to you, felt guilty.
I think we have guilt all the time. Me and my friends have white guilt about black people, about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
About slavery 300 years ago, about the fact that Donald Trump is our president. And some
of y'all voted for him.
White men have voted for assholes like Donald Trump for the last 60 years.
She said, I voted for him 3 times.
Oh, yeah, that video.
Yeah.
Well, and the last Democratic president that white men voted for as it collectively was Lyndon Johnson. That was 1964. That's how long ago it's been.
But I'm saying, like, for the rape thing, did you felt guilty?
If I'd been the victim, I don't think I would have felt.
You went right into the.
I don't think I would
it's
have.
like I'm it go when I told about the bus driver. I'm just saying because you was right. The rich or the more advanced, more money making, they do tend to go down.
They're good at it. They can do it for decades and not get caught. That's the thing. This sleazeball driving around in his car. I'm sure somebody beat him up at some point, right?
Yeah, probably
For just driving.
Like the bus driver, I guess he's like, well, he's taking the bus. I'm driving the bus, so I know if I make a proposition to him, he'll take it.
Yeah, and your bus driver was friendly, and
Yeah.
you basically said no in whatever way you could say no, and I said
Yeah.
no to that other guy, and then it ended there.
Yeah, it ended.
But the thing with the predators is it doesn't end.
It doesn't
they just
end.
keep going until they get their person, right?
But is it because the people let them keep going? Like okay.
Well, what are you going to do? It's your. I mean, people say, "Oh, there was no evidence in this case." Well, there was no physical evidence. It's just one word against the other. It's really hard to prove a sexual assault.
But I'm saying
case.
if it keeps going, like some of the victims will say this was perpetual. When was you going to even okay? Put it this way: even if you don't go to nobody and you don't go to the courts with this. When was it going to stop with you right then and there? Because some victims I hear, they say, yeah, and he would come in repeatedly and he would do this. Is it because they're letting this happen because they think after this, the guy promised them a career or whatever?
Yeah, and it was going to stop. The abuse was going to stop. But the abuse never really stops. It's like if you get into a bad relationship and you think, oh, I can change this guy or
Okay,
this
so
woman
if
a
you
little
see
bit.
that, then the victim should have said, I'm getting out of here. This ain't
Right,
gonna...
but we can't really blame the person because they're kind of in the wrapped up. You know,
Probably so, yeah. I can't see it.
It's like this Svengali effect, right? You just can't get out of the spell of the person who's in charge of you.
But my thing is, what do you got to lose? You ain't got nothing anyway. Just walk away and go to somebody else. Find a lesbian. Like the lady that they convicting now, that killed her husband. You know why? It's wrong, but I was like, okay, this is not to say that she should have killed him. I'm saying she had a lot to lose, and I can see why she went crazy and killed him because she married a man, and then all this stuff that she wasn't privy to at first happened because he had a wonderful business that was flourishing, and so she had this lifestyle. Then she was saying, well, okay, if I divorce him, and I think she signed a prenup, but it had it up there where if you get a divorce, he gets all the proceedings except in death. Which didn't look good for her because it's like, yeah, now I see why she killed him. She can get the stuff, and it's like, I can't just walk away from this because now the children might go with the dad, and then I'm gonna lose everything. So I can understand that. But these girls that are victims, like the downtrodden, and they say, well, he kept repeatedly coming in. You see, it ain't going nowhere. You ain't got nothing to lose. It ain't like you walking away from something you had. You never got it. So it's like, let me get out of this.
Well, you know what happens to accusers? Are you saying just walk away and not make an accusation?
You can make an accusation, but it's like, but I'm talking about the repeated. Like he came in it again and
Right.
did another instance, this and this and this
Well,
and this.
you know, I think if
He
you're
molested me for 7 years.
I think if you're a Hollywood actress,
Or rape me because the children. If you molested by children, they don't know what's going on.
yeah, if you're a Hollywood actress, the only world you know is this business, and it's a very competitive business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true that a producer can say to another producer, "Don't hire her; she's trouble," or like they can spread gossip about you. So it's like they can end your career. It's not like you can just switch careers and become a baseball player.
But
or
I'm
something.
not saying that because if you already in it and you have been introduced to a certain lifestyle that you've been living, I can understand that. But some of these girls that were coming in like Jeffrey Epstein, they was picking them up off the street. These were people that were inspired to be something.
Yeah.
And they came into this, so it was like, okay, you see that this is, and some of them probably say, okay, if I do this long enough, it will work, and you see it didn't work, I'm out of here.
Yeah, but I mean, looking back at that, it's easy to say that. I mean, as an 18-year-old in college, I had no idea what this older man was about. And these
Right.
16-year-old girls with Jeffrey Epstein, they had no idea what this older man was really
Some
about.
of them were 12, weren't they?
Yeah, they were all over the place. Yeah, so
You know what I was sad of?
I don't think they can see the big picture the way we can. It's
They
just,
probably- yeah,
it seems
you're
so
right.
easy just to walk away, right?
right.
Or just to.
But I'm not talking about the children. That's why I just said I made
Yeah.
it clear. Molestation, no. Children don't know. I'm talking about adults. If you're an adult, like some of these people that's talking about maybe Diddy or whoever, I don't know. Whenever I see an adult that says, yeah, they did this to me, but even as an adult, if you're in a career, you still adult enough to say, I'm walking away from this. Children has nothing
Yeah.
to do with this.
Yeah, no,
Children don't know what's going on.
now this actually had a lot of similarity with the OJ case. I just remembered that he used to beat up Nicole Brown every now and then, and she'd call the police, and they would arrive, and there she is with the kids and with OJ, and he would say, "Oh, we just had a little disagreement," but you could see the bruises on her body, and there are photographs of bruises from her being beaten
Wow.
up. And then what are her options? She can press charges against him and then lose everything she's got financially,
Right.
or she can try to make peace with this guy.
I'm thinking it will be more so for her to press charges then, because it's a black man. I can see if it was a white man, but I was like, this a black man. But maybe it was his white friends he was connected to that she was more afraid of than him.
Well, but he was a rich black guy, and he
That don't
had.
mean nothing. You see what they tried to do to Bill Cosby and everybody else.
Well, OJ got off the murder trial, right? He eventually killed Nicole Brown and Ronald, and he got off. So in death, she couldn't even.
No, she couldn't.
Get
I
that
think
justice.
part of what saved him was he had a lot of rich white friends. That,
Yeah.
why you think I'm friends with you?
Well, that's something we need to talk about.
You gotta have some white friends. I'm just not gonna do all of the non-white activities you want me to do because I do want to survive. But it's good to have some white friends.
Can we trust each other?
I can trust you, Mr. Penniman.
I've-
I don't know if you can trust me.
I've been grooming you for 15 years.
Yes, you have. That's why I said some of them pictures we be taking. I'm like, Mr. Penniman, some of these pictures. First of all, you look like a multimillionaire, and then I look like you just grabbed me off the street and you started grooming me. But it's okay. Like I said, it's all fun and games.
All right,
We
so,
already know.
So those are stereotypes.
Yeah. Do you
What-
think? How you think about being gay in the black community is?
I
think it's forbidden, or you think it's?
I think it's harder. I think black people tend to be harder on their gay brethren. Although
Right.
I seem to see some cracks that there's more acceptance.
Yeah, it's more sense. So you don't know.
More
who's
of my
gay no
more of my ex students are coming out.
They're
and-
coming out like when you first saw them, you didn't know, and now they're coming out.
they're not telling me.
I ain't talking about the. You know what? I ain't talking about the girls. Let me tell you something. I got a double standard. Seeing two girls that are cute kissing, I'm cool with that. Go ahead, girls, be lesbians, be bisexual. It's attractive to me. I'm sorry, but it's like you're harder on the guys. Two men kissing, it's more unacceptable.
I think men love to see women tickling each other and
Yeah,
playing
straight
stuff all
men.
that.
They
Yeah.
was like, okay, they could get away with that.
But
They-
yeah,
it's-
watching men kiss each other, that's another.
So that's what I'm talking
leap
about
in
as far
faith.
as that being a gay man in the black community, and you're saying that more of your students are coming out.
Yeah,
Something wrong, Mr.
I think
Penniman?
I think there's less. I think there's less less difficult. Well, I'm just my neck hurts a little bit.
Oh, I thought something was going on.
Yeah, I'm flexing myself because
Oh,
I'm,
I was scared. When we
I'm
that's
old and
another thing
tired.
about black people. Some don't look right. I was at the gas station and lightning came out the sky. I do not like. I don't really like lightning, so I took off running and I was at the gas station. 10 other people ran with me, and then we all went under this shelter thing, and they was all looking at me like, yeah. So who was shooting? And I was like, none. I was running from lightning, and they all was mad, and they looked at me like they wanted to jump me and walked right back out into the thunderstorm. I don't think black people are really afraid of lightning and thunderstorm.
well. I wonder about the running from shooting thing because the bullets go pretty fast. Are you going to outrun the bullet? I don't get the whole.
No, it's not
You're
about
going to go run so far away from the shooter that he's not going to be
No,
able
but
to shoot you?
even if you hear shooting, you're taking off running. You don't care where it's going because it could be the other way, but you want to get out of the way before it get to you.
But I don't understand how that's going to help you.
No, what you're saying
it's
is
like trying to avoid a mosquito.
No, you don't.
right?
What you're saying is, Mr. Penniman, if they are targeting you and you try to take off running while they're targeting you
Okay.
with a gun, that's a different story.
I
Just
think-
take the bullet.
Aren't you supposed
But
to dive to the ground and kind of roll or something?
You should do that, but we ain't trying to hit the pavement. We just take off running because it could be over there, And it's like we got a chance to get out before we get over here.
But it could be like echoing off of something.
It doesn't matter. We'll figure out who got hit later. Let's just run, and then we'll find out who's bleeding. Then we'll get some help. But our first thing is to take off running. We ain't doing all that rolling over that we see in the movies that y'all do. Do y'all sit there and scream a lot?
Oh my God!
He got a gun.
Oh my God! Yeah, I'll go. Watch out!
Watch out! See, and you talking about how in the world you're gonna run for the bullet? What y'all just do? Watch out! It's just as stupid as running from a bullet. So it's like whatever you feel to do at the moment. But yeah, we Mr. Penniman did something. I just jumped. I was ready to be like, what's wrong? That's the black in me. Now I can tell you that. But being gay, especially as a black man in the black community, you say they harder on, and you hard on.
Well, I think
I think
the parents are still having some trouble with it, but I think peer-wise, like the 20-somethings are more okay with it.
Oh yeah, we okay with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we okay with it. But I think it's still like,
But
okay, do you think it's gay that let's say me? Lord, why would I say me? My credibility is already shot.
Let's say your brother.
Am I more gay?
Let's say your brother.
Well, I ain't gonna say him. I don't need him.
Well, let's say my brother. Let's say my brother.
Okay. Well, I
Who's been married for 40 years.
Mr. Penniman, if I was to is it gay if somebody go down on me? I've heard that.
Well,
I heard somebody say that, like, well,
if there's sexual,
if he's sucking me off, I'm not really gay. I'm like, really?
well, if there's sexual attraction somewhere in there, that's a homosexual attraction.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't it be?
Because there was a homeless guy, not a homeless guy, but he was a guy that people knew around the way. He would be outside. What's the word when you begging for money around the store? Is that
panhandling?
Yeah, he was panhandling, but it was actually a part-time job for him. He said, it's hard to do this. I was making money, but I realized that he was an ex-gay guy, but he still had tendencies. But he would see me, and he knew my grandmother, so he knew me. So he would always say, "Hey, how your grandma?" And I'd be like, "Oh, she good." And we just would talk for like 30 minutes. But he was like, "Yeah, you could hear the sugar in his voice that." He was gay, but he was like, I found God. Well, God had to find him because God ain't lost.
So he's trying not to be.
He's trying not to let his sexual tendencies.
Right.
Maybe the way I was talking, his tendencies was beginning to. But he was like, yeah, I got a girlfriend now, yay. I'm like, okay, and he was like, yeah, because I'm trying to do this thing right. I used to be gay, but he said that recently, once again, the downtrodden. He needed some money, and he said there was a basketball player. He didn't tell me his name, but he said he's up and rising. Whoever he was, a basketball player, reached out to him and needed. He was married too. He had his wife at home, and he said he would drive from. I don't know where he was from. I don't know if he was from Ocean City. But he would drive from Ocean City, Maryland to D.C. to see this guy that I was talking to, and the guy will give him head. He said, thank you so much. Now I can go back home and have sex with my wife.
So let me get this straight. This basketball player is coming from Ocean City.
Yes.
This
is what the guy told me.
To have sexual relations of a sort with your guy, the panhandler, who's trying not to be gay?
Right.
So I don't get it. He seems to be.
He needed the money.
Oh,
The guy paid him. So I want to know, what is that? Does that mean you?
I think that both of them need to admit that they want to be with guys. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, because he was like, he couldn't get up with his wife. So he said, I need something on the edge.
Yeah.
He said every time I get head from a guy, the basketball player, he can go home and pound his wife. So is he bisexual? I think bisexual simply means you're gay. I think for guys, there's no in between.
Yeah.
There's no in between. But the other guy was like, I didn't want to do it because I'm trying to get away from that. But he offered the money. So he was asking me, is that gay? I was like, yeah.
So I think the white person's viewpoint of this would be, get counseling.
Yes.
All of you, and see whether you really want to continue with this. Now, before we close,
Yes.
can we just have like a ranking of the famous people we've talked about on the black to white scale?
Oh God.
So, do you agree that Flava Flav is a 10 and
that's a 12.
and Mitt Romney is a 1? So, where does OJ go on the list? Because he
think
had all
he's-
these white friends, and he got
You
off
think he's like a 4?
4.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's like it's. But did he act? What? Well, if you're around,
He was with white friends his
so
whole
he,
adult.
he,
Yeah,
so he was white.
he's
in a
below
way.
5 for sure.
Yeah, I'll say a 4 or 3.
Okay, and then Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Where is he on the black to white
I
scale?
don't. You saying for me because
Because he hung out with white boys.
Oh God, Jesus.
He married.
So that means
He
he's
married
not
a
even-
white woman, didn't he?
Yeah, he married. So yeah, he was white. Below a 5.
Another 3 or a
Then
4.
he tried to get the no. See, that's why I said when he did the little white thing because his disease. That's what he was saying because people say why you want to be like a white woman, but he was talking about his disease.
Yeah.
But it's like you just bleached your whole face, and that's fine. But then he got the chin thing, and then he got the nose
So,
thing. to try to
but
make it-
complexion wise, we're not really talking about complexion. We're just talking about his culture, his lifestyle.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When he did that, it's like you're trying to be a white person, so he's going down as a 3
So
or
he
whatever.
gets demoted there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Now,
gonna tell you the worst thing you can do to make you. I don't care who you are. You could be as a 10 or 11 in the black, like Flava Flav and all that. The number one thing to me that make you look like a pedophile more than anything is talking to a child through a fence. You ever notice that? I can be on the street and the child can fall and I'll be like, you okay? Like on the sidewalk. That's one thing. But let it be a fence between us and something happen. I'm talking to it through the fence. Everything okay? It makes you look like a pedophile instantly. You could be talking to your own child, but talking through a fence make you look like a pedophile for sure.
You know, I'm laughing because behind me is Washington View, and the kids have to climb this 10-foot high fence to get to their apartment. Otherwise, it's like a quarter-mile walk around. And there were these 3 kids who said, "Hey, mister, help me over the fence." I was like, should I or shouldn't I? I had like five seconds to.
Mr. Bennett,
I had
don't
5
do
seconds
it.
to decide whether I was going to do this.
What did I tell you
What do you
before?
think? What do you think I did?
I hope you did. You help them?
I helped all 3 of them.
I know you did.
They got on my shoulders. I was like, ah.
That's why I say you.
And the other kids. The last one was the hardest one because the other kids weren't able to help.
See what I'm saying?
I was like, I hope nobody's taking videos of this.
Now imagine Michael Jackson. Maybe the kids did that. He was probably in the room, locked the door, and it was like, Mike, please, we're scared. Can you let us in? And he probably said, okay, come on in. And he laid like you're trying to help the kids, but can you imagine another black person seeing that from across the street? A white man, were they black?
Oh yeah, everyone around here is black.
See what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. You're the only white.
Sirens would have been starting.
That's what I said. Can you imagine? I know somebody probably seen that. Like
Or maybe
that white man is gonna
maybe,
get them
or maybe the
kids.
grandmother's going, "How did you get home so quickly?"
Yeah.
Oh, white man helped you. What? Who is
See?
this? Who's
Over
this white
the
man?
fence, though, you look more like a pedophile, Mr. Penniman. A white man helping black kids over the fence.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's all about perception.
All right. So, and R. Kelly and Cosby, they're over 5, right? They're between 5 and 10. And Diddy.
I would say Cosby's
They don't-
like a
Oh,
6.
Cosby's closer. Yeah.
Yeah, but Diddy, they all Diddy black.
Yeah,
But it's just
okay.
he just did crazy stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And next week we'll talk
What
about.
would you rate me?
Well, let's hold that for next week. We'll rate it.
Oh,
We'll rate
okay.
each other next week on the scale,
Okay, cool.
and we'll put all the mayors.
Don't put me
Bowser,
on the gay scale though.
Bowser, Gray.
Don't rate me on that.
Yeah, that'll be tough for both of us. All right, so this has been another compelling week of Keeping It 84. We can't really be totally honest. We can't keep it 100. But this has been Paul Penniman, the old white guy, and
$20.
the relatively young African American man. See us every Friday on YouTube. Hope you have a great week. See you next time.